I love speaking. And what I love about speaking is the challenge that it presents. How do you move the needle for individuals and organizations in such a short and condensed time frame? That really is the challenge of a speaker. And for me, it comes down to three big components. And these three things apply more to life than just speaking. In our experiences in life, we either think something, we feel something, or we do something. And a great speaker, a great speech, addresses each of these three things. Now, in my experience, there are a lot of individuals out there who do a great job of approaching or addressing the way we think. They offer new information and insight to people. But as Aristotle said, educating the mind without educating the heart is no education at all. And this is said for a very good reason. It's not just because we remember our emotions better than our thoughts. It's because our emotions are what give us the energy and drive to do things differently, to change our behavior. So unless we address emotion, we won't offer people the energy to actually go out and do something different. Often we're taught that a crisis or good information is enough to change behavior, but science doesn't really support this notion, and there's a very good example of this. If you look at individuals who've undergone coronary artery bypass surgery, about 10% of them have changed their behavior in 2 years. That means 90% of them who experienced a crisis and received good information about what they needed to do did not change their behavior. And it's because, just as John Cotter says, behavior change is about addressing people's feelings. Now, in a great speech, you receive powerful and compelling insight, and you have an emotional experience. And then often what happens is we get a to-do list tacked onto the end, and we call it an action plan, and we say that's enough to get people to change their behavior. But if we want people to actually do differently, we have to give them tools and triggers. We have to make it easy for them to behave differently. And one of the ways we can do that is by offering those tools and triggers. So here's a great example. Did you know that there's some research out there that supports the idea that we actually remember every experience that we have in life? The problem is in recalling those experiences. So here's a great example. If I asked you, what did you do on your 8th birthday? Most of you would say, I have no idea, I can't remember my 8th birthday. But if I said, oh, sure you do. Don't you remember you tried to blow out the candles and some wax got on the cake and then you spent 20 minutes crying about a ruined cake? That would be a trigger and you would say, oh my gosh, I do remember that. And you'd probably remember a whole bunch more about that day. Well, the same thing goes for this model. If we want people to behave differently, we have to make it easy for them by offering triggers so that they change their behavior. Now, in a great speech, these three things are tied together in a very cohesive way that compels and motivates people to change their behavior. And this is my commitment. When I'm hired as a speaker, I will pull together compelling and new insights that change the way people think. I will create an unforgettable emotional experience, and I will offer very clear tools and triggers that allow and make it easy for people to change their behavior. When you do these three things together, that is what creates results. That is what moves the needle, and that is my commitment.